I want to bring in Democratic Senator Tammy Baldwin of Wisconsin. She's a member of the Senate Appropriations and Health Committee. Senator, good to see you, and congratulations on the Senate getting this bill passed. I don't think I've ever watched the Senate as closely as I have. I mean, there obviously have been big things that you've done there, but this thing was just a marathon before that bill passed early yesterday afternoon.
Thank you for having me. And yes, it was a marathon, but in the end, we delivered, and all 50 Democrats, our razor-thin majority, stuck together to bring this much-needed relief. Couple more steps before it hits the president's desk, but as the president himself said, help is on the way.
Can you help me understand, or help my viewers understand, why there was no Republican support for this? It is a wildly popular initiative, as have the three that preceded it been. Republicans were prepared to be involved in those other ones. We heard from a lot of Republicans about increasing the payouts to Americans. What happened?
Well, I think your analysis at the top of the show hit it on the head, that the big change between the past relief packages and this one is a new administration and a new majority in the U.S. Senate. And this measure, as noted, enjoys huge popular support among Democrats, independents, and Republicans. However, in the U.S. Senate, not a single Republican vote occurred. And I think that if you look at the individual elements of this measure, these are things that Republicans have supported last year. But yet the change in administration and the change in majority in the Senate seem to be the only explanations of why we didn't get more Republican votes on final passage.
Of course, people are quite taken by the big elements of this thing, the $1,400 payouts, the unemployment extensions. But in fact, there were a lot of other things in there, including the funding for vaccines, and something that you were working on, which was an ability, funding and an ability by the CDC to ramp up the ability to spot virus mutations. You really wanted to make sure that that was in there, because that is our future. Once everybody gets vaccinated from this thing, it doesn't just go away. We are going to be dealing with mutations until the whole world is vaccinated.
Yes, Sally, I think that the ability to detect variants that might elude or escape our therapeutic treatments or the vaccines that are being deployed is the future front of this fight. It's, to me, just like the importance of testing was at the very beginning of the pandemic a year ago. Because if we see the development or evolution of mutations, variants of the pandemic that can elude treatment and elude the vaccinations that people are getting, we have another pandemic on our hands. So this is really the next front. And we've, as a nation, been falling quite behind in terms of our ability to surveil and do these genomic sequencing that we need to do to keep on top of this. And I do view the American Rescue Package as the transition from being in the middle of a pandemic to seeing it in the rearview mirror. Let's do it right. Let's do it comprehensively.
Let's hope so. I want to ask you a quick question. You and Senator Murphy spent a lot of time last year trying to get the administration to invoke the Defense Production Act to deal with some of the shortages in supplies and testing materials we had. You've said so with the current administration. Do you feel that we are doing that enough? Is the Defense Production Act been employed enough to get us everything we need?
Well, it has been invoked in a number of areas, but I think one thing I could say is that even the threat of it, because this president has said he will use it where necessary, has resulted in some really amazing things. Let's take one example, the idea that the Merck pharmaceutical company is going to team up with a competitor, Johnson & Johnson, to manufacture the Johnson & Johnson vaccine which is that one-dose vaccine, that is something that is, well, first of all, very welcome, is going to make a huge difference, but probably would never have happened if there weren't the threat that the Defense Production Act might have been used to mandate it.
Senator, good to see you as always. Thank you for joining us. Senator Tammy Baldwin of Wisconsin. One of these days when we're not always talking about coronavirus, you and I are going to talk about health care like we used to in the old days, because we do have to get back to that. So thank you so much for your time this morning, Senator Tammy Baldwin of Wisconsin.